Without change, there is no innovation, no creativity, or incentive for improvement. But those who initiate change, they have the opportunity to manage the change that is inevitable.
And now, please welcome to the stage, co-founder and CEO of Cribble, Clint Sharp.
It must be exhausting, always rooting for the anti-hero.
I'm so excited to be here. Isn't it an amazing day? Thank you for coming on such a great weather day here in Vegas. I read on the Twitters yesterday that yesterday was the hottest day in Vegas since 1932. That's crazy. It is. I'm just sweating on the walk over, and it's 7:30 a.m. The weather here is crazy. But we have all kinds of those kind of fun facts today, by the way. So just stay with us. We've got all kinds of really interesting things. Hi, I'm Clint Sharp, co-founder and CEO of Cribble. Thank you so much for being here, and welcome to our first ever CriblCon. Some folks say that I look like Bill Gates. I mean, it's mildly insulting because the dude's like 70, but hopefully I don't look 70, I don't know. But really, I'm an Apple guy. Been an Apple guy since the very, very early days. Back into the 90s when Macs were still running OS 9, no preemptive multitasking, all that sort of stuff, right? And being an Apple fan in the 90s, by the way, was a good way to become an outcast amongst nerds. So, you go, all your friends are all PC people, you're like a Mac guy. It's like, why would you ever use something like that? But I think it starts thinking about how Cribble thinks differently. And if you think back to the 90s, Apple's one of the most valuable companies in the world now. I have 3 Apple devices on me right now. I've got my watch, I've got my AirPods in my pocket, I've got my iPhone in my pocket. And the turning point for Apple, really, if you think back to it, was the Think Different campaign back in the 90s. You guys remember the Think Different campaign? I love that campaign. It really, I thought, accentuated what made Apple different. Great campaign. It was narrated by Richard Dreyfuss, had great thinkers, John Lennon and Muhammad Ali, Albert Einstein, Amelia Earhart, Gandhi, Jim Henson. And I think that we here at Cribble really try to embody that same type of spirit. We need to think different. We need to think different about IT and security. The market has remained, I don't want to call it stagnant, but things look pretty much the same as they've looked for the last couple of decades. And I think there's a huge opportunity for innovation. And it's not enough, though, just to think different. And also, we can't just steal trademark marketing campaigns. So I think that we need to do different. And the point of that commercial was that these are the folks that are going out and actually changing the world, changing the status quo. And here at Cribble, we want to make the world better for IT and security practitioners. And to do different, we really need to understand what's different about IT and security in 2023. And we do that from first principles. We don't just copy what else is out there. We don't go to a Gartner diagram and say, hey, here's all these products and these categories, and Cribble's just gonna make one of these and one of these and one of these. There's nothing wrong with that strategy. Many companies do it. Obviously, if there's a category, it exists because there's a need that's being filled and met by the market. We don't want to just copy. We want to evolve the marketplace, make it better. And there's a number of areas where I think we really need to do different. First, IT and security data is different. It doesn't fit neatly into rows and columns. There's a reason that we don't just put everything in an RDBMS. We could. We tried that in the 90s, the 2000s. The database is not the one-size-fits-all that solves all of your problems. We also look at the world today in observability and security through the lens of MELT, metrics, events, logs, traces. That's fantastic, by the way. I mean, this has taken us a very long way. Being able to quickly dashboard all of our metrics from across the enterprise, being able to gather key event data. Most of the people in the room are probably in some way involved in logging and made your career out of logging. This is obviously an incredibly critical data source. But that's not sufficient. MELT is not the whole estate of data that exists inside the enterprise, especially for IT and security. What about data from APIs? Being able to interrogate and investigate my Google Workspace APIs or my Okta APIs, my Zoom APIs, being able to really understand the current state of what's coming out of my applications. What about PCAP and wire data? The ability to interrogate that as it's moving. It is ultimately just data. It doesn't fit neatly into rows and columns. It doesn't go into databases. What about configuration data? Configuration data, one of the most valuable pieces of data in the enterprise. It tells you the running state of what's happening in the environment. My configuration data tells me how things are supposed to be running. What about things like jar files, binaries, deployed artifacts? This is just data. Shouldn't I be able to ask questions of my enterprise like, hey, which versions of Log4j are deployed throughout my entire enterprise? Ultimately, these are all data questions, and we need different data in order to advance the state of the art in this industry. We also need to do different around architecture. For most of the people in this room, I guarantee you've got some on-premises, some cloud. You've got data at the edge that's not even being moved. You're putting massive amount of data into data lakes. You have existing solutions for that data, indexing systems, time series databases. But ultimately, we need to be able to have architectures that can look across all of that data at once. We don't need separate systems for on-prem, separate systems for cloud, which is where most of people are living in the world today. And ultimately, we need different visibility for 2023. We don't need 20 different solutions. I don't need a different solution for my configuration data, a different solution for my wire data, different solutions for my log data, much less trying to get value out of data lakes where the data kind of goes to rest and almost die today. And this is our mission. Our mission here at Cribble is to unlock the value of all observability data. And we take the all really seriously. We are on a mission to give IT practitioners the data they need in the formats and the tools that they love to make rapid, informed decisions. As we emerged into this marketplace, we saw a huge problem. Data is growing at a 27% compound annual growth rate. I'm going to take a risk. I've asked this question probably 1,000 times. Is anybody in this room, if your budget is growing faster than 27%, would you stand up? All right, sweet. I get it. I asked it 1,001 and I still got the right answer. Okay, nobody's budget is growing at 27%. So what got us to 2023 is not going to get us to 2033. You're going to have 2.5 times the data in 5 years than you have today, and your budget is not going to grow 2.5 times. So what do we do? How do we resolve this tension? Ultimately at Cribble, we think we need to do different. We need all of the data. By the way, we also think you need all the data and you should own that data. That data should be in open formats. That data should be portable. You should be able to put multiple analytic solutions on top of all of your data. It shouldn't be locked into proprietary formats and into proprietary tools. You should have the flexibility to accommodate all of the data types, shapes, volumes that you have to deal with in IT and security. You have massive amounts of data volumes, significantly greater than business data. You have many, many more data shapes than exist in traditional rows and columns in databases. You can do different when you can ask and answer questions of all of your data, all the data that I mentioned, API, PCAP, Also rows and columns, melt data, configuration data, binary data, all of that data should be accessible to you at any time. And you need flexible architectures. You need to be able to land data where it's the right place for that data. Maybe that's in the data lake. Some of this data isn't particularly valuable for a long period of time. Why should we move it at all? We should have flexible architectures to allow us to unify our visibility across on-prem, in the cloud, data lakes, edge, existing solutions. We should have architectures that allow for you to not have to care where that data resides. And ultimately, this should add up to unlocked visibility for you, true data federation, the ability to look across the entire estate, architectures blending on-prem and cloud, dashboards that look across all of these classes of data no matter where the data lives. We do differently to give you the capabilities that you need for 2023. And we're all here about choice and control. When people ask me, what does Cribble sell? I usually say choice. And I think that's incredibly important because as technology professionals, you've made a ton of choices over years. And those choices are not wrong. Those choices were the right choices at the time you made those choices, and you should be able to continue to make new choices that interact with the environment where we find you. We want to meet you where you are. We want to give you software that recognizes you are in a complex world full of lots of different decisions that you simply can't change. We don't come to you and say, replace everything you have and here's how I provide you value. We come to you with solutions that work with the choices that you've already made, and we give you the ability to make new choices in the future, no matter what choices you've made in the past. We're uniquely positioned to do this differently because we listen to you, and we understand, and we do it from first principles. We try to understand the root of the pain that you have and bring solutions to market which are going to give you new, unique, and awesome capabilities. And we are so excited. Can I please get a round of applause for the customers in the audience today? We would not be here without you. Cribble has grown incredibly quickly. We are one of the fastest growing companies in enterprise software because of you, because of the value that we're providing to you. But we are so lucky because not only do we have 500 plus amazing customers, we get 500 customers as design partners. You guys are working with us hand in hand to build software that solves problems for you. Your feedback directs the solutions. We don't go back into the factory and spend years noodling around and then come to you with a solution that we have from on high deigned to be the exact solution to your problem. We noodle around for a few months and we bring you some shit that doesn't really look all that great, and then you tell us how it could be better. And that's the right fucking way to build software. And we have an amazing team. We have 500 plus employees who truly care about the pains that you have. And many of us, myself included, used to do roles like yours. We were practitioners. We've lived your pain, and we build software with craftsmanship and love for the problems that you have. We are dedicated to you. We have 500 plus Criblanians who do different. Been working on that one for a while. All right. And not only do we do different, but we deliver. Because that fucking matters. You have to actually ship. You have to ship. We've shown you a track record of 5+ years of continuous innovation across multiple product lines. We have grown and scaled this business with a track record of giving you the capabilities that you need with continuous investment and innovation. Great software doesn't show up immediately. It takes continual effort. Great features take multiple releases. We work on them, we ship something that works, and we keep iterating until we give you exactly the feature set that you're looking for. So what is Cribble? We do different. If you take one thing away from today's presentation on my part, there's much more exciting things coming after me. We've got some really exciting things to show you today. I'm so excited for what we have on the main stage. We have been working for weeks and months to prepare an amazing opening day for you. If you take one thing away, Cribble is the data company for IT and security. We are focused on your pain. We understand your problems. We need different data. We need different architecture to give us different visibility. And we are the data company for you. And here to show you how we're doing all of this with our solutions and with our fantastic customer success programs, please welcome Abby Strong, Senior Vice President of Customer Experience and Marketing.
Well, good morning, everybody. Wow, this is awesome to see all of you in the audience today. I am so pleased and honored to be here with you all and, fund this event. I have the great privilege of 2 jobs here at Cribble. I joined the founders about 3 years ago now to run the marketing department. And I have to take a quick second and just say thank you. So much work went into this event, and I am so incredibly proud of the team and what they have managed to accomplish. But then last year, I also had the opportunity to raise my hand, hashtag startup life, and say, I need another job. And we created a department called Customer Experience. This is our combination of technical support, professional services, and customer success, all focused on how do we make sure that customers who invest in us have a truly delightful experience with our products. And the best part about that job is that I get to meet with so many of you and hear your stories, your successes, the wins, and even the support tickets, because it means that you're using our products and you're solving really cool problems with them. And so as you just heard from Clint, we here at Cribble are all aligned on a mission to unlock the value of all observability data. But we also wake up each day with a fundamental purpose aligned to our customers' first always value, which is to create breakthrough enterprise software that takes IT and security professionals from this sucks to fuck yeah. We do different by delivering continuous and purposeful innovation. And so I'm going to take you through some of that right now. This is our portfolio of innovation. This is how we've been delivering to solve the problems that plague IT and security professionals. We know you need choices, and so we give you lots of ways to deal with all that different data. You need different architectures, cloud, on-prem, all about your choices and ultimately providing you the visibility that you need for those choices. And for those of you that are paying attention first thing this morning, you may notice there's a little extra product up there. I recommend you have that conversation with the product team over in the Cool Labs after we're done here this morning. All of it focused on giving you choice and control over your data. So let's go through it. Cribble Stream. What a great initial product, right? But I remember when I first started here, everybody was asking us the same thing. Well, that seems like such a niche product. Aren't you going to get bought? It's just such a tiny problem to solve. But no, the thing was, nobody else took initiative to go solve it. There's so much more volume. We know that ingesting data, routing it, creating the right formats that you need for all of your destinations was truly a challenge. And so sometimes you just need an unsexy piece of software that solves a big customer problem. And Stream gave us the ability to support all the choices that you've already made, and come in and go, those were the right choices at the time that you made them, and we don't need you to come in and replace everything in order to put us in. Use us, take control of your data, ingest what you need, send it to wherever you want it to go, and we'll help you get it there. But as we started to do that, we realized it was pretty obvious there's a collection or a lot of room for improvement for collecting data, onboarding data, and managing agents at scale. A lot of times that data is hidden or inaccessible with current agents. And as we talk about doing differently, sit there and you go, why do you even need to configure an agent to find log files? What if it just automatically detected anything that had log in the name, or was continuously updating in a log folder. Why do we need to send data at all if it only has ephemeral value for 30 minutes or 24 hours? Why are we sending it off to a system of analysis that has compliance requirements that make you keep it for 3 or 7 or 10 years? And if you decentralized processing so that you could scale your enterprise, why would we be the ones to tell you the only way to interact with that data is to centralize it again in order to send it to a system of analysis? And then ultimately, control and ease of use so that you have an easy way to configure, update, and monitor the ever-expanding footprint of endpoints in your enterprise. And we're going to show you this later today. And then we introduced search. I just cannot wait for you all to see this demo today. It is just the culmination of the initial vision that we had for Cribble. You have data everywhere, and we may have helped with that. We know you don't want a swivel chair between 20 different tools in order to find that data. So what happens when you start to think about this from first principles is, why do you have to ingest and move that data at all? Why do you have to know where the data is that you need? If you've got it in all these tools, you probably need a product that helps you find it across all of those disparate locations. And wouldn't it be nice if it was specifically tailored to the IT and security audience, so you could write a natural language or a pipe-delimited query that you're used to instead of having to create SQL statements and go, this is the target that I need in this table. So truly an observability tool focused on asking and answering questions that you didn't anticipate before you decided where that data lives. And all of it built on top of our Cribble Cloud platform. This is our fastest path to innovation. We are releasing features and functionality at least once a month. It's also the easiest way to access all of our products. You buy credits, you can use them across our entire product portfolio. It's also the fairest way to transact with all of you. You only pay for what you use. It's full consumption-based pricing. And ultimately, it's all in the name of doing different for IT and security professionals. We built this suite of innovation to help you do different, because we understand ultimately that while our mission is to make it better for you all have missions too. The world runs on software. My goodness, this morning I was already checking my kids into summer camp via an application. We need those things to work. We need you to keep those applications operational. And so our mission exists so your missions can exist. So let's see how this is helping some of our customers. And I'm going to kick it off with NASA, because when you can start with rockets, why not? And for those of you that caught it last year, we did post a blog saying that we were sending Clint into space. As you can see, he's still here. It was an April Fool's joke, although it is hilarious that we still get people asking us if Clint enjoyed going to space. So back to NASA. They needed to modernize their data collection architecture in support of the M2131 standard. This is a federal requirement for log retention. Pretty much save all the logs, but you don't get that 27% budget increase. And so their first step was to replace syslog-ng, which, gosh, we all love syslog-ng, 20 years old, still chugging away. But we gave them an alternative to that to improve stability, route to multiple destinations, and improve cost efficiencies. So while you may not need to be a rocket scientist to use Cribble products, it's kind of fun knowing that they need ours. And the Gap. So hopefully everybody knows the Gap, but just in case, they're a global retailer headquartered in San Francisco. Just happen to be wearing their jeans today in support of our customers. They needed to migrate their SEM into the cloud, from on-prem into cloud in just 5 weeks. Most of that time was spent confirming parity between the systems after they flipped the switch to send the same data both places, until everybody was happy with the experience that they had in the cloud solution. Not only did they use Stream to migrate from on-prem to cloud, but they were also sending a full fidelity copy off to Azure Blob. And now if the compliance folks come at them for whatever they need, they can use our replay functionality to hydrate that data back into whatever system analysis that they need. Soon they'll be using search, I'm confident. And we'll move on to SAP, because we have a big German contingent in the house. It does not actually rhyme with Gap. But they're using us for both security and observability. Huge open source shop. But they realized that they were spending so much of their time just writing integrations for ingestion and processing that they weren't actually able to do any of the things that they wanted to accomplish in their department. The observability team needed to grab OTel data off of REST APIs. The security team was seriously backlogged with all of the data requests coming in to them. Cribble allowed them to shift from spending 80% of their time being reactive to 80% of their time being proactive and innovating. That's their quote, not ours. iHerb, not that herb, folks. I know we're in Vegas. They're actually an online retailer for health supplements, and Cribble is the performance-enhancing solution that helps their uptime with Elastic, Loki, and their data analytics tooling. This was another open source replacement. And one of the things that we like to say when folks are using an open source solution is, are you ready to be one engineer away from an unsupported solution? They also, in addition to replacing it with Stream, decided that Edge solved a big problem for them. And now they use that to get more visibility into their Kubernetes environments. I know they're gonna love our new Prometheus Edge scraper coming in 4.2, which posts on Wednesday. We're excited for you to see that demo today as well. And Maximus. Maximus helps government agencies improve program outcomes. We wanna send a special thanks to this customer because they are our first official search customer. It's pretty great. You know those new data architectures that Clint was just talking about? It's already happening. Useful data goes through Stream, cold data is left in place, they can still query it if they need it, and then they get data from search, and they can schedule those searches and then send it up through Stream to whatever system of analysis where they need that data. They can search and send, they can just search, completely up to them. It's all about choice. But ultimately, search solves that problem because we never have to ingest that data in order for them to access it. And that's just a little taste of how some of you are doing things differently. It's pretty awesome to hear these stories. We hope you keep going down these paths, exploring new ideas, finding new use cases, sending us support tickets. I also have a great professional services team who loves to help set that up for you. But ultimately, all in the goal of getting more value from your data and your Cribble investment. So to help you ensure that you have all the tools you need to deliver on your missions, last year we heavily invested in this team that we now call Customer Experience. It's not just about innovating in product, right? As I came on, I said, we needed a way to make sure that you have a truly delightful experience when you decide to use Cribble products. We've 3x'd the number of folks on this team in the past year, as well as our amazing services partners, many of whom are in the room with us today. Thank you. All in pursuit of making sure that we get to your vision of success together. And it's working. Look at that CSAT score. Thank you, by the way, to everybody who has ever opened a support ticket and taken that little survey at the end. Feedback is a gift, and we are grateful for yours because it only makes us better so that we can help make you better. And speaking of content, how many of you are CCOE certified? Oh, that makes my heart so happy. Woo! One of the things that we stand for here at Cribble is that education will always be free. If you are willing to invest your time in us to learn about our products, we are willing to make sure that we meet you with the content, the information, and all of the training that you might need in order to be successful. That goes for training, that's Sandboxes, docs, our curious community. Whatever you need to help grow your career and be better at pursuing your mission, we are here to help provide. Reach out to us if there's something missing already. We are so grateful that you're willing to invest your time with us. And at this point, I have the distinct pleasure of saying, are you all ready to see what we're doing with the products? Yes. All right then. Well, it's time to welcome another co-founder and CTO, Ledion Petinska, to the stage.
Thank you. Thank you, Abby. This was great.
No Taylor Swift for you.
No Taylor Swift, huh? Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to see all these faces at our first ever CriblCon, first ever user conference. Woo! I'm super excited, guys. I'm thrilled to see all these faces. As you've heard by now, focusing on your pains is what gets us up every morning. But what keeps us going is that commitment to deliver on those solutions that actually address those pain points and make you the stars of your organization. And I want to start by telling you guys a story that starts very, very early in the journey of Cribble. And it's this story that's very near and dear to my heart because it embodies that do different. Back in 2018, Dee, Clint, and I were coming off of a, failed startup adventure. We had spent about 15 months on what we thought the world needed, what we thought you needed. And we had spoken with about 50 or 60 of you to kind of get an idea of what is it that problems that you had. But it turns out that we had not actually listened. We had not actively listened to your pain points. And as we were going over the notes, it became very clear that that tension between data growth and budget was something that we had missed. And another thing that we had actually missed is what we called at the time the multi-system syndrome. You had data that was coming from everywhere and needed to go everywhere. As we asked these organizations, are you using Elastic, are you using Splunk, are you using Sumo? The answer ended up being yes. Right? We were using all these tools and all these systems. So we decided to do different at that time. We decided to work with you closely to build solutions to problems that you actually had and not problems that we thought that you would have. And so we started just by writing a blog post and posting that out on social media. And the engagement and the response was immediate. But one response actually really stood out. And that was from Ed Bailey from TransUnion. Ed, where are you? You're out here somewhere. There you go. Yeah. Woo. And he said, and I quote, "If you build this, I will buy this yesterday." And we were elated by that. The problem that the team at TransUnion was trying to address was something that's very common in many enterprises today. They were trying to work with DNS logs. As many of you know, these logs contain very low signal-to-noise ratio, and they're voluminous. They were trying to work on 3 use cases on this data. They needed to store them for long-term retention. They needed to get some visibility into the operations of their DNS servers and how the clients and which clients were maybe abusing the servers. And they needed to look into into the logs for getting security insights. And one of the interesting use cases that they had was they were trying to see if there's data exfiltration via DNS lookups. Well, it was very easy for them to solve those first 2 problems with Cribble. Simply get data coming into Cribble Stream at the time. I think it was Cribble Log Stream at the time. We called it a log preprocessor. Clone the data into 2 different routes, pass it through either the pass-through pipeline and store it on in their NFS servers, compressed for long-term retention. And then on the second route, they were able to pass that through a logs to metrics pipeline and then send the data off to their metrics store, InfluxDB. The security use case was the one that was presenting them with the most challenges, because the SIEM solution where they were trying to send the data had only capacity for about 1/10 of the data that they were receiving. And we already knew that these logs contain very little, very low signal. So we worked with them closely to figure out what kind of functionality was missing into the log preprocessor, that's the precursor of Cribble Stream at the time. And it turns out that we were missing data enrichment of the stream. And this is what is known today as, in Cribble Stream, this is lookups. So we worked with them closely to add lookups, as well as a function for computing the entropy of these strings to figure out things that did not look like actual DNS names, like valid domain names. And by combining this data enrichment with the entropy calculation, they were able to increase the signal-to-noise ratio by about 20 times, meaning that the data that they could send to the SIEM dropped by about 95%. And they were able to actually fit the data into the SIEM solution. And they were also evaluating more than one SIEM. So working with them closely, we were able to build a solution that is now resonating with so many of you, with about 500 customers. And by working with us, they were not only able to save money and time, but they started to think different about their data architecture. And with Cribble as the central nervous system of the data flow, they started to do different. And they're continuing to innovate, and we'll hear later today from Steve and Don about how they're continuing to innovate with Cribble. Now, as we continue to build and deliver on our vision, we do value that early collaboration with TransUnion, and that has carried forward in our commitment to learning and partnering with you to work on delivering these features. And I have a question for you, kind of like Clint did earlier with engaging the audience. I'll try to engage you guys a little bit as well. So of the features that we've delivered last year, how many do you think were based on customer interactions and your feedback? Feel free to throw out some numbers. What percentages do you think there was? 42. Let's throw some real numbers. 80, 100. Yeah, well, 42 could be the answer. It is 100%. 100% of the features that we have delivered have had a form of interaction, getting your feedback. It would have been requests from you or interaction with you to develop those features into. Give yourselves a hand of applause, everybody. This is a great interaction. Thank you. Last year, we delivered 165 customer-requested features. That is one almost every other day. And we did that consistently across 15 releases while maintaining 99.9% uptime in our cloud environment. And we did all this while the engineering organization tripled in size. That is something very, very hard to do, and I'm very proud of our organization for being able to do that. I want to give a shout out to our Cribble engineering org. Thank you. All right, at Cribble we invest in themes. We don't like to invest in throw out features or try to make a particular release or like one and done. As you heard from Clint, we release features early. We try to fold in your feedback and to make sure that the features that we are delivering are actually solving a problem and a pain point for you. This year, we are focused on 3 themes. We're investing on self-service, on expanding our ecosystem support, and finally on scale. With data becoming the new lifeblood of many organizations, there are many teams and many users that are becoming stakeholders of the data. Different users need to process data differently. They need to receive it from different sources, and they need to send it in many different destinations. And with Cribble at the center, we are seeing that many organizations are able to unlock the value of all of this data. However, what we hear from you is that you are now becoming the bottleneck of that success. You are getting inundated with tickets to make changes to data processing or data routing. And what we hear from you is that you want to delegate that power of choice and power of control to the actual end users of that data. And we're investing, and we're able to do that with two features that are coming up in the next release, with stream projects and authorization. So let's just take a look at how that is going to embody itself in stream. So let's take a look at, in this particular example, we have one data stream, very much similar to the TransUnion use case. You'd have one data source that is needed by 3 different teams, an IT operations team, a security team, and we have a number of contractors that are also working on this data. The IT operations need the data to be, need only access to a subset of the data, and they need it shaped for monitoring. They're using Elasticsearch in this case. The security team needs access to all of the data, and they want to be able to make choices for themselves as to what is security relevant and what is not. And they want to route this data to a SIEM or many SIEMs they may be evaluating in their use cases. On the contractor side, they're creating a number of special projects, and we want to be able to feed them the data, but we definitely want to hide some of the sensitive information that is present in that data. Would you guys like to see how this looks like in stream? Yeah. Let's see it. So here we have the Cribble admin has already created 2 projects, one for the operations team and one for the contractor. And now he's going to be able to create a new project. To do that, we start with creating a data subscription, which is simply a filter on the data that stream is receiving. We're passing the data to pass through in this case because this is for the security use case. We want to give them all the data. And in the second step, we go in and create a project. We select the data that this project needs to have available and select a number of destinations where the security team can send that data. We hit save, and we're almost done. All we need to do now is give access to the team and to the members that can work on that environment. And that is how easy it is to create isolated workspaces for teams to work on. Isn't that fucking cool? Yeah. That's amazing. Now, if you log in as that security user, we see exactly what the admin intended us to see. We see all the firewall logs, and we're able to now process to work on this data. We're able to create a pipeline, add some functions to it. In this case, we're just going to simply tag the data with security, and we'll be able to go back to our quick connect interface and start moving data from that subscription to the destination where it needs to go. So let's say that our destination of choice was CrowdStrike Falcon. We'd like to then send, let's say if we're evaluating Splunk in this case, we'll be able to also route data to that destination. In contrast, as a contractor, when we're able to log in, we're now seeing the data shaped appropriately for us, but also masked. The sensitive information has been masked. And the contractor are not able to see any of the security relevant information or pipelines that the other team actually created. So what we've achieved here, within a few minutes, we've created some isolated workspaces and put data in it so that users of certain teams are able to collaborate safely without impacting other users. That is fucking amazing, guys.
Yes.
All right, moving on. As we have more teams and more users using our products and using the data to make their organization successful, it means that we need to expand the ecosystem of sources and destinations that we support. To date, we support about 100 integrations, by far one of the largest out in the market. But we're not stopping there. What we keep hearing from you is that data is not only expanding in volume, but also in sources and destinations where it needs to go. To date, we've added 15 new sources and destinations, and we are bringing Cribble Cloud across we're expanding geographically where Cribble Cloud is available. Cribble Cloud started in US West, it's now available in US East, and in the next few months it's going to be available in Europe as well. And we're not stopping there. We're going to bring Cribble Cloud to wherever you need it and wherever we can make you successful. That is our commitment to you. Now, as Clint mentioned, data is growing at that 27% year over year, and it's been unrelentless for the last few years. That means that scale, performance, and reliability need to be evergreen investments at Cribble. Otherwise, we're simply not going to be able to keep up with that data growth. And we're committed to make sure that we always are investing in these areas. And this year, under the scale theme, we've been working on bringing multiple worker groups in our cloud environment. That provides workload isolation, as well as bringing compute closer to where the data is. So if you have data that is originating, for example, in US East, and your management plane is in US West, you should not have data travel across the states to be processed. We're continuing to evolve our persistent queuing technology to mitigate data loss. And on Edge, we have been working on making sure that we're able to support tens of thousands of nodes. Today, we support about 15,000 agents to be managed and monitored and configured centrally. But what we hear from you is that you want that to be in the hundreds of thousands or even millions. And we're committed to making sure that we are able to support that in the near future. Would you guys like to see how we test for scale and performance at Cribble? Yeah? All right, let's see it. One more video. All right, so starting with Stream. Here we have a deployment with about 10 worker groups with 100 nodes. Each node has 16 vCPUs and about 32 gigs of RAM. Let's switch to our monitoring dashboard and see how much data is being processed by this dashboard. This system is processing about 60 million events per second, equating to about 6.7 gigabytes of data every second. And if you're to do the math, that is 1 petabyte of data per day. And in that 20 seconds, I think it was about 20 seconds, in about 20 seconds that dashboard has been up, that system has processed 1 billion events. When you need to scale, Cribble Stream will scale with you. And that is amazing. Thank you. Woo. Thank you. Now switching to Edge, Edge has a different angle of scale. We need to be able to manage tens of thousands of nodes. In this environment, we have about 15,000 nodes spread across 5 different fleets. And as we see here, this is our monitoring view of those Edge nodes. The UI is pretty snappy and you're still able to navigate. But what's interesting in Edge is the ability to configure this system and push those configuration changes. In this view, we are making some config changes and doing a commit and deploy to make sure and see how quickly and how easy it is to get those configs out. As we did a commit and deploy, here we're seeing some Edge nodes are lagging in picking up those configs, and you saw it within a few seconds they were able to pick them up. There's no video editing magic going on here. Within a few seconds, we were able to make config changes, commit and deploy, and now all those Edge nodes have gotten the latest configuration. That is without any CLI, without SSHing into any boxes, without restarting any servers, without any downtime. With Edge, it simply works, and it's remarkably fast. So when you need to scale with Edge, and when you need to scale with Edge with ease, Edge is there for you. So the ease of scale of Edge is what brings Aaron to say that Edge is a lifesaver. iHerb is using Edge to give them visibility into their Kubernetes environment. And iHerb was one of our early customers of Edge, and I'd like to thank them for being a design partner and continually improve Edge. I want to give them a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you to the iHerb team. Now, on Edge, we're continuing as we continue to evolve Edge, we're investing in control and scale. And what we hear from you is that some of you are unfortunate enough to work with Windows, and we hear you. We hear those pain points. And we're working on making your life easier by improving the Windows event collection and in general improving our Windows support. One of the key pain points that we hear from you is the ability to upgrade those agents centrally, very much as easily as you're able to do that in Linux. And that one is not making this release, but it's going to come out in the next month. We ran into a few, how shall we say it, Windows unexpected fun times. Now, on the Kubernetes side, what we hear you say is that you have a number of pain points in being able to set up visibility, to set up monitoring and data collection from Kubernetes. Would you guys like to see a actual live demo on how we've made your life easier on that? All right, let's do that. All right. Now, as I'm set up here, real quick, I've been logged out. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Kubernetes, Kubernetes is a container orchestration framework that many application teams are embracing because of the ease of deploying many times every day. However, that's presenting challenges in terms of monitoring and in the complexity of its operations. So the goal of this demo is to set up Cribble to collect some logs and metrics from a Kubernetes environment and send those to two different systems downstream from it. To Loki, we have picked just one place where we can send logs and just be able to search, and you'll be able to see its UI. And secondly, we're trying to collect metrics and send them to Prometheus and chart them with Grafana. When there, we're trying to use a stock dashboard without any modifications. The goal is to get these metrics to flow to Grafana and make a stock dashboard simply light up. So what I have here, this is what we call the quick connect view in Edge. And I've already set up a few sources and routed them to their destinations, just simply to make the demo go a little bit faster, so we don't have to wait for data to show up. But let's go in and start with our logs use case. As we go in and look at our Cribble logs, at our Kubernetes log source, we have made a number of improvements here. And I want to point your attention to these two parameters. The polling interval. This simply says that Cribble Edge is going to automatically poll every 15 seconds in the node where it's running to detect if there are any new pods that it needs to know about. And once it discovers them, you can then filter on those pods. You'll be able to select which pods you want Cribble Edge to go in and monitor the logs of, and be able to tail them and send them out. You don't need to specify any paths. You don't need to specify any pods by name or anything like that. It's just that easy. Within just a matter of seconds, you'll be able to get data flowing. In this case, I've already wired this up because it takes a few minutes to get data showing up in Loki. But this is the search interface of what Loki looks like. And you guys are going to see a better interface for search a little bit later, but I wouldn't want to spoil that surprise. So in this case, we're simply looking at data from all the pods and looking at so let me just rerun this query. Looking at data from all the pods and picking up all the lines that contain the term get. And just get what, you're getting back what we would expect, potentially a time chart, and then some logs that are showing up. Again, these are logs that are coming out of the pods that have been automatically discovered by Edge on the Kubernetes nodes, and this could be running in any of those nodes without any further setup. And it's that easy. Now, let's go back and look at at the metrics use case. In the metrics use case, we already had Prometheus Scraper, but in the new release coming out on Wednesday, we've improved this collection to add the Prometheus Scraper to add 2 new discovery types, Kubernetes nodes and Kubernetes pods. We had static, we had DNS, and we had AWS EC2 before. But what these 2 new methods of discovery show or do is, again, back to this in a similar way to the Kubernetes logs. They poll every 15 seconds to find either new nodes or new pods that are being either added to the cluster or that are being ran in the cluster. And to get metrics to flow from these 2 new sources, we simply just route them, drag and drop to Prometheus. We'd also need to just set up a pipeline just to make, we need this metrics to go through a pipeline, simply to make sure that the data is compatible with Prometheus and with Grafana. If we look at this metric, at this pipeline, we are simply adding 2 new fields, job. If there's a job, we'll name a job. Otherwise, we'll use Cribble. And then just adding the instance name. These are 2 required fields to make the Grafana dashboard simply work out of the box. And then finally, we're just exposing those 2 new fields that we added to every metric as dimensions. So just simply hitting save on this, and I'll do the same for the node scraper for CAdvisor. This is just another way of collecting some metrics out of every Kubernetes node. We hit save. And now as we switch to the Grafana dashboard, and this is refreshing every 5 seconds over the last 15 minutes, you'll see that this dashboard is now lighting up. We're able to get data from Kubernetes at the node level as well as at the pod level, and made a Grafana dashboard, stock dashboard, without any changes. We made that light up. And we have a ton of information here from CPU, memory utilization, network traffic, and as we scroll down, we end up in more details. And it's that fucking easy. Yeah. All right. So what we heard from you is that you needed an easy way to delegate the power of choice and control to your teams. You're able to do that with stream project and authorization. We heard from you that it was hard to scale edge and be able to manage the thousands of agents. We heard from you that monitoring and managing Kubernetes clusters was a pain, and we brought you edge. And we're committed to innovating and to bring you the easy button as we continue on our journey. And speaking of innovation, I'd like to introduce to you my co-founder, Dritan Betinska, to talk to us a little bit more about how we're innovating in Cribble Search.
Whoa!
Thank you.
Good time. I love this. This is amazing, folks. This is an incredible cloud. Thank you, Nadjan. Good morning, everyone, and it's such a pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you for joining us for CriblCon here. I know a lot of you have traveled from near and far. I'm Dritan Betinska, co-founder and head of product on C0 to 1 here at Cribble, and I have some really exciting things to talk about and some really cool demos to show at the end. But first, let me start with you. One of our core values here at Cribble is customers first and always. And I cannot stress enough how important your feedback and your insights have been as we innovate in our product. As we build internally, we embrace the motto of innovation with purpose, and it drives us to solve problems that matter rather than just, innovate for the sake of it. To that end, we've also assembled teams of experts with deep knowledge about the IT and the security data space, but it's been our conversations with you about your pain points and your use cases that keep us on track and keep us focused at the core of those problems. And as we dove in these conversations, it's become incredibly clear that there is a huge difference between the data that you're generating and the fraction that you're actually analyzing to make decisions out of it. When you dig deeper, there are actually two core problems contributing to it. The first one is the volume problem. This is something that Clint touched upon earlier. That gap between the volume growth and the budget is widening over time, and that gap now is translating into a visibility gap. The traditional architectures that you're using that require you to move the data before you can query it, they exacerbate the problem. If you think about it, now you have to move the data. It's going to cost you to transit that data, and it's going to cost you even more to store it before you can actually ask the first question. The second problem was a bit more interesting. There is data everywhere. And if it makes you feel any better, everyone has this problem. We do too. We're a 5-year-old company. We have data in over a few dozen systems already. There is data on the endpoints, servers, laptops, VMs, containers, you name it, it's all there. As you embrace your services, they contain and they expose a lot of their system data, their metrics, their logs, their API health eventually on the API endpoints. There's a ton of data that's just sitting there. Obviously, there's data on your analysis systems, and then there's a ton more data on your data lakes. The funny thing about this is that this data comes in all shapes and formats. In fact, the formats here run the gamut from fully structured to completely unstructured and anything in between. Binary files, compressed files, files with schemas, files with no schemas. They're fun to analyze. However, most of your analysis actually focuses here on the analysis systems and maybe a little fraction on the data lakes for those systems that can actually query the data lakes. Data here is not tapped, but no one is searching here, and no one is even thinking to search on the API endpoints. And it was these two key insights, the data volume problem and the data sprawl problem, that drove us to design Cribble Search. Cribble Search is based on a first principles architecture that allows for searching data in place. It is very different from your existing solutions, which is what makes it so powerful and so transformative. In the back end of Cribble Search, we have technology that is cost-effective at scale. We can tap on free compute resources on the edge, and then we can use on-demand resources as we scale with workloads in the cloud. On the front end, users interface with search through a very simple yet powerful query language. We chose to be very pragmatic here. We didn't reinvent the wheel. And as you use it, trust me, you will find it very familiar as it's purpose-built for IT and the security practitioners. Some of you are laughing, you're probably recognizing it. It is based on Kuso, an open standard from Microsoft, and it uses the well-known pipeline model to articulate your intentions when you search for data across data stores and across various formats. We also went ahead and built a scheduling engine that allows you to take those searches, now put them on a schedule, create notifications, and then feed them to downstream systems. In addition to that, we also built a dashboarding framework that you can author rich visuals, interactive visuals, and collaborate with your teams and tell stories with your data. Speaking of data, we quadrupled support for data stores to meet you wherever your data is. So in this summer release, you will find that we've added support for Azure Blob and Google Cloud Storage, and literally any S3 compatible store, such as Oracle Object Store, Cloudflare R2, MinIO, DigitalOcean, all of those are supported out of the box. What I'm mostly proud of, though, is the work that the team has done with our direct integration with Amazon Security Lake, with native support for OCSF and Parquet projection and predicate pushdown, which enable fast analytics out of the box. And in the very near future, we will add support for searching your existing systems of analysis and your cloud data warehouses. That's coming very shortly. And in a true think and do different approach, in this summer release, we're going beyond edge, we're going beyond data stores, we're adding support for searching REST API endpoints. These endpoints give you rich context on the state of those services, the metrics, the configuration, sometimes they expose also logs. But if you think about it, those interfaces were never meant to be interrogated or ask arbitrary questions. And today you can with Cribble Search. So imagine, thank you. So just to give you an example, so imagine, for instance, in real time, asking your MS Graph or your Okta endpoints about users without MFA, and asking Zoom about users running meetings without passwords, and now you have a list of high-risk users that you can go and have a little chat with. And you can do this in real time without ever ingesting this data, ever. Just think about that, how powerful that is. You guys want to see a demo of it? Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do this. Let's do this live. What can go wrong? All right, let me get my self situated here for a moment, folks. We'll do it live. All right, so I am logged in here on my staging Cribble Cloud account. I have an edge fleet. I have a few edge fleets. And so what I'll do right now, I'll try to demo everything that I just talked about. So I'll try to demo searching through edge nodes, searching through data lakes, and then searching through APIs from the very same interface. So in this particular org, there are 3 fleets, small fleets here, and I'm going to hop over to Cribble Search. And from here, I'm trying to search all the edge nodes from this interface. And the cool thing about Edge and Search being integrated all at the same control plane is that searching Edge is automatically configured from Search. And all I gotta do really is just go and find the data set that corresponds to it. Click here, let's add one more 0, and let's hit enter. So what's happening in the background here is that we're distributing the search against all the fleets. And the Edge agents are smart enough to understand that search coming in, and they're bringing back only the results that matter. So in this case, we brought back 10,000 results. And folks, this is data that we've never seen, data that we've never indexed, yet we're able to identify in real time fields, and we display them on the left-hand side here, timestamps, we put them on a nice timeline histogram here. Isn't that amazing? This is data that we were able to query without moving it at all. Okay. But let's go ahead and ask some questions. I have other data sets here defined to access the system logs, so I'm just going to go and target now system logs on those edge nodes. In fact, let me limit this to Cribble fleet equals Linux. Now notice that as I'm typing, I'm getting this type ahead. The system is smart enough to understand my intent here. And I don't know, let's make those edge nodes do some work. Let's make them do some actual filtering. So let's look for SSH D and then, I don't know, invalid. Let's see if it comes back with anything. And boom, there we go. Within a few seconds, I am capable of seeing that there is some SSH scanning activity happening against those edge nodes. And I was just able to ask an arbitrary question, and I got back 500 results. And if I want to pursue an investigation, I can do that from here. I didn't have to move this data at all. But what about metrics? These edge nodes also make metrics available to be queried. And all those are exposed in the, you name it, metrics data set. Let me just bring back, I don't know, about 1,000 events and see what sort of metrics I have here. I have about 5 metric sources. I have metrics about memory, disk, network, and CPU. Let's focus this on I don't know, the system metric here, and then let's see. I think I saw load 1. Yeah, perfect. And let's do a time chart of load average. Let's span it to 1 minute. For those of you who are paying attention, load average is measured in 1 minute. And then do max of that. And then let's do group by or split by host. And let's see what happens here. And again, we're distributing the search to those edge nodes. And boom, the data comes back almost instantly. And in 3.3 seconds, I have a view of the load average across that edge node without moving the data ever. I can take this chart here, add it to a dashboard. Let's create a new one. Okay, that was fail. Let's take a look here. Add to dashboard. Let me change this. I don't know. Let me change this to area chart. There you go. Let's see if this makes a difference. Add to dashboard. Let's see. Panel title. Load average. 1. Create new. My other dashboard. Boom, there we have it. Right? So I was able to put this panel just like that on a dashboard. And for those of you who don't like area charts, you can come in here and then change it to, I don't know, lines. And if you don't like this color palette, you can pick up another one. And you can save it, you can exit. And now you can keep adding more panels, and now you have a full dashboard that gives you visibility on those edge nodes without ever moving the data again. Let's hop on over and take a look at the data stores that we have. I have some data stores. I have AWS S3, Azure Blob, and GCS, and let's go ahead and search them all real quick. Let's look at some VPC flow logs here. And let's return, let's return 10,000 results. And again, this is data that we've never seen. This data is just sitting on an S3 bucket, and we're spinning up now dynamic compute to go fetch the data and then bring it back here onto Splunk, onto Cribble. And that was bad. That was horrible. Onto Cribble. And so what we did here is we extracted all these fields, we extracted timestamps, and we put everything on a timeline. And I can go out and I can put, let's say, Google. Let's do Google. How about Google? Google has some nice flow logs as well. Let's return. Actually, you know what? Let's do all of them. Fuck it, let's do it live. I have a really good naming convention here, so I can address them all. And let's do summarize, count by data set. Let's see, now what's happening in the background is we are federating a search across all these 3 data stores, and we're spinning up compute, bringing those events in, and then building a summary here for you to see. And look at that, we've got data from Azure, we've got data from Cloud, Google Cloud, and AWS S3. I heard some of you like pie charts, so how about a pie chart? I can put that on a pie chart. Yeah. Let's hop on over to the security lake. I had a whole lot of questions earlier about our integration with security lake. So let me just show you what that looks like. Amazon Security Lake, I've defined the data set that points to it called Amazon Security Lake. Let's return back, let's return back 1,000 results. And let's see what sort of data we actually have there. And again, the same thing here. We've never seen this data before. We're just dispatching this search out there, and then some results are coming back. And here you have it. There's about 1,000 results coming back in a few seconds. They appear to be VPC flow logs. Let's take a look at category name here. Okay, network activity. Let's actually see how we can push projection and predicates with Parquet here. So let's make it do some work here. So I can add this field, and let me do a summary. Summarize, count, simple one by disposition. And let's go back over an hour. Let's see what comes back here. So here we're working with Parquet, we're working with OCSF to specifically go in and then bring back only the events that matter, or only the events that match that particular schema. And here we have it, folks. Within 13 or so seconds, we've got 190,000 rows that were processed, and all of that came back literally without us indexing it, and then from the very same interface here. This is fucking amazing, and we're going to be adding more features here on Parquet pushdowns on our next version. And again, yep. And last but not least, let's look at some API searches, right? So I have Google Workspaces wired up here, and I have Okta wired up here as well. To target those API endpoints, again, they appear as if they are yet another data set. And I can come in, I can say Google Workspace API, and I don't know, let's go overall time. I don't think there's a lot of data here. What we're doing here is we're hitting those APIs and then we're normalizing the responses to make it look and feel like an event so that you can actually interact with it. You don't have to write custom REST API calls. We're doing it for you and we're displaying it just like another event. And now you can work with it. So for example, here, I have this query called, let's say, id.application name. Let's look at the logins, right? Let's look at the logins on our Google Workspaces. And I can do another simple count by actor, count of logins by email. Again, in real time, this data is not indexed, this data is not moved, this data is not processed. And there you have it. Like within 3.2 seconds, we now have a view of who's been logging in using our workspaces and what emails they've been using and how often they've done it over all time. Isn't that fucking fabulous, folks? Let's do the same thing with Okta. Okta has similar looking APIs, and let's see what comes back. And here I have another. Let's do logins by geography. How's that? Let's do this. Summarize again. I'm just going to summarize it real quick. Summarize. We'll do summarize count by client. I have city. This is really cool because what we're also doing is we're helping you with type ahead assist is also helping you with field names and values from the very same query box here. And I can do this and just run it. And just like that, in real time, you have a view. Well, you don't have a view. Let's run this again. Fail. All right, let's do this one more time. We'll go over. Boom, there we go. So we got information about city login location. It only took three tries, folks. And there we have it, folks. Within a few minutes, I was able to ask arbitrary questions of this data that is sprawled around endpoints on the edge, REST API endpoints, or my services that I'm subscribed to, and data stores. And I was able to do that from a single interface without moving the data whatsoever. However, our innovation is not stopping here. We're asking ourselves, can we improve these interfaces? Can we make these experiences better? And we believe that the latest advances in Gen AI will radically change how humans interface with systems. And to that end, we're investing effort and time to explore what that looks like. So let me show you a quick prototype before I go. Hop on over to this other account. Don't fail me today. Let's give it a moment. All right. So imagine when you land in search, instead of getting greeted by a Kusto interface, you get greeted with a natural language interface. What if you were to come in here and say things like, I don't know, show me all the errors in security logs, if I can spell it, security logs from user Clint. He fucks up a lot. Well, let's see if it does. I mean, look at that. That translation was actually not too bad. I mean, data set, Cribble security logs, level error, username Clint. Let me hit search. Let me see if it actually returns anything. Sorry, man, you make errors. You got problems. Isn't that amazing? So just imagine the power. Yeah. Thank you. So just imagine the power that experiences like this and interfaces like this bring you at your fingertips. And as I conclude here, I want you to take away that here at Cribble, we're innovating with purpose and we're partnering with you to solve problems that matter to you and help you do things differently with all of your data. And I'll leave you here with this quote from Jay that captures the essence of it all. Folks, you've been phenomenal. Thank you so much for your attention. I invite Clint back to the stage.
So I told you we were going to show you some cool shit. That was pretty fucking amazing. Congratulations. When was the last time you went to a show like this and saw 30 fucking minutes of live demo? It doesn't happen because most people don't have the faith in their products and they don't have the product innovation to show you that they can actually spend 30 minutes showing you cool shit. And I'm so happy for what we've come here to show you today. At Cribble, we do things differently. Thank you. We commit to you at Cribble to listen to you, to your actual problems, all day, every day. Even when we're not delivering for you, we want to hear from you. We will listen, and we deliver. We ship. We are constantly innovating, constantly bringing new product to the market to give you choice and control over your IT and security data. We'll continue to earn your trust. We are a customer's first company. We live by that value all day, every day. We feel it. We embody it. We really put you first because ultimately we're not here if we're not providing value to you. As a software business, pay me because I'm providing value. Pay me commensurate with that value. We want all of our transactions to be fair. We want you to be getting more value out of our software than you're giving to us. And then ultimately, this is the healthy ecosystem and flywheel that creates value for everybody. We'll continue to help you imagine and create better experiences. And as I've said before, partnership is a two-way street. So please give us your feedback. Feedback is a gift. It is so incredibly valuable to us. Even if it's not happy, even if it's not great, we want to hear, please tell us how we can be better for you. We have a great day planned for you. And I love a single track conference. It's actually my favorite type of event. Few hundred people getting together, sharing the same experiences in the same room. We have some fantastic, passionate customer presentations for you today. I was at our speakers dinner last night. I'm so excited for these people to share their stories with you because it's all truly from the heart. This is value that they're getting from our products, and they're doing some really cool, innovative stuff inside of their organizations. TransUnion, as we've mentioned several times today, the Venetian, there's another conference happening over there this week, I think. But the Venetian's actually coming here to present at ours. So that's pretty nice. Aflac will be here, Circle K, Discovered Intelligence, Bayer. I'm so excited and so happy for these customers who have given us their time to come tell you their stories, and I hope that you get as much value out of hearing them as I have. Additionally, check out the Cool Lab. It's right over there. We have great demo stations for all the stuff we showed you on stage today, all live, which is super cool. We've got it all sitting over there too. We can dive into it deeper. You can try to make us break it. Give us use cases we haven't thought of. All this is on Rails. Ask us any question you want. We'll be happy to try to show you. If it doesn't, we'll file a bug and we'll fix it. It'd be good. Also, in addition to demos, we have a great community. We have experts. We have whiteboards over there. Bring us your use cases. Bring us your hardest use cases, the things that you have been struggling with for years. Let us help you try to solve it together, living by yet another of our values. And I want to thank our sponsors. Pulling off an event like this is so hard. By the way, thank you so much to our marketing teams here. Can we get a round of applause for the people who pulled this event together? Thank you so much to them, and thank you so much to our sponsors. We're not in business without our partners either. AWS, CoreLight, CrowdStrike, Elastic, Exabeam, Snowflake. Thank you so much for being here today. And we're not quite done. We have a party tonight. at 5 o'clock, right next door. We love to party at Cribble. Please come party with us. It is going to be a fantastic time here at 5 o'clock tonight.
Wait.
What?
We don't want to wait till 5 o'clock to have a party?
No.
No.
Of course not.
No. You may have noticed a few times throughout this morning that we made mention of 5 years. We actually have the privilege of celebrating our 5-year anniversary last week here at Cribble. And so we decided, in line with everything else we do, we want you to have your cake and eat it too. So please join us next door at the break, which is now, and we will give you some cupcakes, and I promise not to put this in your face.
For all of you who have been with us for 5 years and you showed us your support early, we would not be here without you. For all of you who have come with us along this journey, we're here for the customers. Thank you so much. Go have some cupcakes. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.